So today I'm going to be sharing with you 3 curriculums that we will never use again in our homeschool. Hi friends, welcome back to Calm in the Chaos Homeschool. If you're new here, my name is Davine and I am homeschooling 4 kids who are in 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade this school year. Now, it has been a little while since I've done a video like this. In fact, I just paused this video to go check when the last time I made this video was, and that was 2.5 years ago. So I will link that video below so you can watch that afterwards if you would like to see 5 of our curriculum fails, that video that I made 2.5 years ago. Now, I do feel like as I become a more experienced homeschooler, I am getting better at picking curriculum that will fit my family, as I have learned how our family works best, as I have learned how each of my children work. I have been better at picking curriculum that will fit me. One of the top pieces of advice I have for newer homeschoolers, not that you still won't make mistakes if you do this, but one of my top pieces of advice is listen to your gut. Your gut is probably telling you if this curriculum is going to work for you or not. So I would say if you're a new homeschooler and you are looking at curriculum and you're trying to decide, don't go based on your best friend's recommendations, on my recommendations, on anybody else's recommendations. I suggest that you take all that in and listen to it and listen to the aspects that may or may not work for you. And then definitely look at any samples that you can, watch any review videos that you can to get an idea of what the curriculum is like. And then listen to your gut as far as, are you going to be able to implement this curriculum in your homeschool? Is this curriculum a good fit for the child that you're teaching or the children that you're teaching? So that's just a piece of advice before I get into all this. Before I get into my 3 new curriculum that I will not be using again, I do want to let you know that today's video is a collaboration hosted by myself and Shauna from Homegrown Homeschool. A bunch of other moms will be joining in on this collaboration, and I will link a playlist in the description box below so you can check out everyone else's curriculum that they won't touch again. Now, I think most of us are going to have the same disclaimer. I'm going to be sharing, I think actually more than 3 curriculum with you, but 3 main types of curriculum that I will not use again. And that does not mean that this curriculum is bad in any way. This is just one viewpoint on those different curriculums, and many people use these curriculums with great success and it works great for their families. It just didn't fit for us and our family. So I'm going to explain why we are not using these curriculums ever again based on our own circumstances. So then you can see if the reasons why we aren't using this curriculum may align with yours, or maybe you have some opposite experiences and perhaps these curriculums are actually going to be a perfect fit for you. Okay, so the first curriculum that I'm going to talk about is not actually a specific curriculum. The first thing I want to say is in our homeschool, we are not going to use a spiral math program. Now, if you are new to homeschooling or new to the education world, there are 2 types of math programs generally. There are ones that teach one concept at a time, and they go very in depth into that concept, and they do many, many lessons in that concept. Some are like Math-U-See, where they spend a whole year working on a particular concept. So like addition. So you're doing all the addition from basic to very, very advanced addition. And then the next year, subtraction, multiplication, division, etc. So Math-U-See is on one side of the spectrum, the mastery-based. Other more middle ones are things like CTC Math, which is what we are using now, and like Math Mammoth, things like that, where they teach a new concept. And generally that is what the child is working on for a period of time. So maybe a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. They do allow enough practice for the child to be confident in that concept before they move on to the next one. But perhaps there isn't as much review as some other math programs. And so then on the other side of the spectrum, there is the spiral math programs. So spiral math programs will generally teach a new concept. They might have some review of that new concept, but then they're going to have review of past concepts in most lessons. And then they might kind of cycle through math concepts as they go throughout the year. So maybe they'll work on a little bit on addition and then subtraction, multiplication, division, time, and then maybe they'll come back again and they'll do more advanced addition, subtraction, multiplication. And so they kind of spiral through the different math concepts. Whereas a mastery-based one is going to kind of just stick on that for a while, like it's a unit, and then you move on to the next unit. So spiral math programs just did not work well in our homeschool. Most of my kids have ADHD, and I feel like it was very hard for them to master a concept when they were spiraling through these concepts, or they had a hard time completing all the questions because it was hard for their brain to do that mental gymnastics to go from one type of question and then the next question's sort of a different type of question and then the next another different type of question. So it was hard for them to do that. And so we discovered that spiral math programs were not for us. So a few math programs that we tried teaching textbooks. I will say we did do that for, I'd say, between a year to 2 years before we switched, depending on the kid. We also did The Good and the Beautiful. That is a spiral math program, and that worked also for a year to 2 years, and then we had to switch. And then after those two programs, we moved into CTC Math, and that has been what has worked for us just because of the way my kids work. So I would say another thing that didn't work for one of my children as far as spiral goes is he would get frustrated with the amount of practice because he didn't need that much practice. So it works a lot better for him to just focus on a concept and then he can move through that concept as quickly as he can and then move on to a new concept instead of having to constantly review old concepts. Now, that being said, in our current program, even though it is a mastery program, we do have a once a week review sheet where they do a variety of different types of math problems, and that is okay. Doing that once a week has not been a big frustration. So they just do one of each type of problem. They have about 28 problems, and that is what they do that one day a week, and that has worked really well for us. That's been the right amount of review for us while still being able to focus on a specific concept. I hope that helps you a little bit as far as when you're deciding on a math program, or maybe you're realizing that maybe your struggles are because you maybe have the wrong type of math program for your student as far as spiral versus mastery. So the second curriculum that we will not be using again is pretty new to us. And that is this. So if you've been around, you will know that I just picked this up a few months ago. This is Alpha and Omega's Life Packs. It is Bible. And this comes with, this is grade 5 level, which is the level that I got for my 6th and 7th graders. And it came with 10 of these Life Pack books. Now I'm going to say it hasn't been horrible. I actually do like this. I do like this program. I think my kids are going much more in depth in Bible than they ever have. It is just not the right program for these particular students. And I'm going to explain why. I'm going to explain why I do like it, and I'm going to explain why it doesn't work well for us. Okay, so each life pack is like this. It has about 52 pages. Each set or year would come with 10 of these. I purchased just one grade 5 set and my boys are sharing them. So they're doing 5 each and we are going to finish this. You will see that I have 4 of these left. They are on their 3rd each and we have 2 more each after that. So we're about halfway through this. Now, what I do like about this is that it does go really in depth into Bible concepts. They are definitely learning things that I never knew. There's a lot of stuff in here. It is not just a very simple Bible program, especially for a 5th grade level. I would say there's a lot in here. What I do and don't like about this the questions that they ask are not basic questions and answers. They do require a lot of inferring, a lot of kind of understanding of the text before you can answer a lot of the questions. So like the fill in the blanks are not always easily found, and they do ask some deeper thinking questions. Now, I don't think that is a bad thing at all. However, some kids will find that a little more difficult than others, and my kids happen to be those kids. So even though we are using this, I don't think my boys can handle much more than finishing this level. So I'm going to have to find a Bible program to come up after this. So it has been good in some ways, and I do think that we are learning a lot. However, it is a bit of a struggle. It is not making my boys love Bible. Let me just say that. So we are surviving it. We are finding ways to deal with it. We are going through it slowly. I'm assigning as small a chunks as I can while still being reasonable. And so that is one that we will not pick up again. So the last one I have to share with you today is one that I have told you about before. I have explained why it didn't work in a video that I did a flip through and review. So I will link that video below so you can check that out if you want more details than I'm going to tell you today. But this is a language arts that we used last year for my currently 8th grade daughter who was in 7th grade. So it is Essentials in Writing. We did level 8 with her in 7th grade. So part of that was my mistake to pick a level higher than hers. I just, for some reason, thought she could handle it. She's very articulate. She has a very broad vocabulary. She's actually a very creative writer. She does pick things up very easily. So I didn't think that level 8 would be too much of a challenge for her. But I discovered that this program is quite challenging, and so I think level 7 would have been better. I also think that if we had been using this all along, that would have worked better for her, but we haven't, and we just jumped in at this level. I did get level 8 because I also had an 8th grade daughter who was doing this as well, and I was trying to get something that both of them could do together, and that 8th grade daughter did not do much of this at all. We definitely stopped middle of the year with that daughter, and then my 7th grade daughter did finish this, but I will say it was a bit of a challenge. Now, this program has 2 parts. So the very beginning is grammar, and then the second part is writing. It also has video lessons, which is something I really like. I really like to be able to outsource some of the teaching, and so I really liked that it had video lessons to go along with the lessons. Now, this is the assessment and resource booklet. I don't have the book to show you. This is just what I could find as an example. I think I probably got rid of the other pieces because I wasn't thinking that my boys are ever going to use any piece of this. So I kept this. It does have some rubrics and stuff, so maybe that's why I kept this. But the grammar piece got really, really detailed and involved. And there were some lessons where I am actually pretty good at grammar, and I was just like, I don't get it. I don't have time to sit down and study this. I don't get it. So we just kind of skipped it, or we just kind of did it mediocrely and continued on our way. So my 7th grader was able to do most of it, but it just wasn't our favorite. And then when we got to the writing piece, my 7th grader did do okay with it. It was fine. She finished most of it. She did not finish the whole curriculum. There was a lot to do. We do need some days off from language arts. We can't be doing it all the time, or we have a lot of different pieces. So we can't have a program that's going to be 180 days long. So we did not finish it all the way. She did do most of it, and then we just stopped. Now, I very, very rarely stop a program and then don't pick it up either in the summer or in the fall to finish it off. That is very rare for me. And so the fact that I just kind of let this drop is just an indication that this was not the best fit for our family. And then I mentioned my 8th grader who does struggle with more learning challenges. She has ADHD and things like that. The grammar was next to impossible. It was not at all hands off for me. I had to reduce the number of questions. I had to sit next to her as she was doing them. And we basically stopped somewhere in the grammar and then we moved on to some other things because that just wasn't working for us. So Essentials in Writing, tons of people love this. It is a very challenging program. I think if you have a student who is advanced or above average or average, and they have been using this program for a long time, since the very beginning, it might work out for you. If you have struggling students, or if you don't want them to just be learning this such detailed grammar, you don't think that that is super important. I think grammar is important, but I don't think they needed to know the level of grammar that was in this level 8, unless they're going into something like that in college, right? Like English or grammar or something like that is like their favorite thing. I just felt like it was unnecessarily detailed and a little bit too much. So those are the 3 curriculums that we are not going to be using again, or the types of curriculum that we are not going to be using again. I hope this video was helpful. I would love it if you have used these curriculums and you have had good experiences, or you have had similar experiences as me with these curriculum, that you let us know below how those went for you. What are some of your curriculums that you are never going to use again, and why? The why is so important. I think the why is so important. I don't know, do you agree with me that actually we have a lot of really great curriculums that probably just don't fit for every family? Or do you think that there are just some really, really bad curriculums out there? I'm sure there's bad curriculums out there, but I don't feel like I generally pick those up. I do a lot of research. So let me know how you felt about these curriculum or other curriculums that you will never use in your family again. And don't forget to check the playlist below to see what all the other moms that are joining in this collaboration say they are not using and why. Thank you so much for coming today, and I hope to see you all in a future video. Bye, everyone.